Hey guys, I know I said there wasn't going to be a video today, but it turned out that the problem with my computer was the power supply. So that was a fix I could do in just about one day. Only problem is now my computer's finally working, and it's 12 o'clock, literally 5 hours before the video has to go live. And there's no way I'm finishing a normal video in that amount of time. Plus, Windows 10 still isn't working because life is pain. But I don't want to leave you guys hanging without a video today. So I'm going to have to do something that I can get done in about 2 hours. And the idea came to me to do something that a lot of people ask me about constantly. I often get questions like, hey Perspective, I got $200 for my birthday and I want to buy a bunch of good figures. Can you please make some recommendations for me? So I'm going to tell you the list of figures that I often recommend to people that totals up to about 180 bucks. That way, if you have a $200 budget, you can have $20 to shift around here or there in case a figure is more expensive than it's supposed to be. This way, I can point to this video in case anyone wants to know what figures I recommend. Unfortunately, this video is going to be lacking a lot of the polish that I'm known for, considering just how fast I'm being forced to make this, but hopefully you'll still find it enjoyable. So whenever someone asks me what figures they should buy, I always recommend Titans Return Trigger Happy first. Every single person I've ever recommended this to has bought it, and I'm not kidding when I say every single one of them has messaged me later and thanked me for it. What can I say? This is just a fantastic little figure. You know me, I hate parts forming and I hate headmasters because headmasters are parts forming, and yet somehow this is still one of the best figures I've ever handled. I love this thing to death. This might be one of my favorite figures of all time. It just looks so damn cool, even with the giant baggy sleeves, and the transformation is something to behold. It might even be my favorite transformation of all time across all figures, masterpiece and third party included. It's just so much damn fun, it's ridiculous. And the alt mode is awesome. I swear that this should have been retooled into the Tetrajets for Siege. It would have just made so much sense. It almost is one already. The next figure I'm going to recommend you buy is Titans Return Blitzwing. The only real problem with this figure is that if you buy it normally, then the face is going to be purple, which it's not supposed to be, and is a big negative factor in my mind, though I'm crazy. This is such a good figure. I know Legacy is promising to do another version of this guy, and I'm honestly kind of hoping that it's going to be an animated version, because there is just basically no way that they're going to top this thing. Once again, it's a Titans Return figure with a headmaster, and once again, I don't care. This is that good. The robot mode looks about as good as it could possibly be, it's got 2 great alt modes, and once again, the transformation is absolutely amazing. It's so much fun, and it's yet another figure that should have way more influence over the Seekers because the transformation for his chest is exactly what all Seekers should strive to do. Figure number 3 is yet another Titans Return figure because while I may hate headmasters and parts forming, Titans Return was just a killer line. Titans Return Cup. You're probably going to start noticing a theme with what I recommend here, and what I value highly in a Transformers figure, because while this thing isn't the best, most accurate looking cup, it doesn't pose the best of any of these figures, it does have an absolutely fantastic transformation, one that has become very influential, and for good reason. It's just tons of fun and super clever, and I really just couldn't be much happier with this conversion scheme. Outside that, the figure's pretty solid, but what really drives this home is the transformation. Next up, Siege Hound. Siege Hound is just a great goddamn figure. It might not pose the best of anything that comes out recently, but it looks goddamn cool. It comes with some of the best weapons and accessories that are out there for any line, and the transformation is basically Titans Return Cup's conversion. It's not quite as polished as his, and I'd say that this is the figure in this list that you can skip if you want to free up money for some of the other figures in case they're more expensive now on the secondary market. But if you can't afford all of them, this is another great one to get. Next up, I want to recommend to you Generations Lugnut. Basically from the first time that Hasbro was doing the what if a different series than G1, but G1. To be fair, this is more realistic. It's almost kind of more what if animated, but movie. This is another great figure. Despite its age, it actually poses up there with many of the modern figures, with more range in most of its joints, more joints than most other figures, and its transformation is another goddamn fantastic one, doing a lot of stuff I've never seen before and still never seen since. This is a really different and really fun figure, and definitely something to be on the lookout if you want stuff that's not just normal G1 characters. Second to last has gotta be Kingdom Cyclonus. What can I say about this thing? It's just a fantastic figure. The head's a little wonky, but everything else about it is so good. It's funny how every single Decepticon figure that I'm going to recommend to you is some kind of aerial vehicle, but apparently all the best con toys are airplanes of some type. Kingdom Cyclonus is an absolute micro masterpiece. It looks almost exactly like what it needs to, and the transformation on this one is just another chef's kiss. Mwah, so good. Every last figure on this list is going to be one that I'm recommending to you based on how good the transformation is, and this is by far no exception. One of the best transformations to come out in the last several years. It's just so good. And if you know me, the last one's going to be obvious. War for Cybertron Siege Optimus Prime. I have recommended this figure to so many people, and there have been a few that have been disappointed with it, but after listening to me and getting one, the vast majority of people messaged me telling me that they didn't realize just how good this figure was going to be when they bought it. This thing is just so much fun, and really none of us are quite sure why it is. It just has something. There's just something electric about it. The posability is great, but it's not the best, and yet it feels so good. And like I said, everything on this list is getting recommended pretty much solely on just how good the transformation is, and the transformation on this is an absolute blast. It's bonkers, and I love it. And the alt mode is really fun, I think. A lot of people aren't a fan of the Cybertruck thing, but you know what? This works for me, and I found that it works for most of the people I've recommended this thing to. This is just an absolute stunner of a figure. And if you buy all the figures that I just recommended to you, you have a pretty solid smattering of Autobots and cons. Just buy these figures, and you can have a pretty solid war going between the two factions. Sure, one side has its leader, but the other side has more heavy hitters. I hope this video can help at least a few people make some great decisions in what figures to get soon. And that's not half of what I have to say, but it's enough of what I have to say. And I know you know what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.